Thank you, Bob. And down here at John Martin's, scene is fantastic. 80,000 people signed petitions to get the Beatles to South Australia, and now the Beatles are coming. And it looks as though before long we're going to have 80,000 people down here at John Martin. The queue started down here at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and the queue has already extended some 100, 200 yards, with about 300 or 400 people here already waiting for tickets. The box office won't open until 7:30 on Monday morning, which means when the queue started at 2 o'clock this afternoon, the people that were first in the queue have got an 89.5-hour wait. The people that are here already are going to have to wait 81.5 hours, so let's wander along and see if we can find out just they're going to spend 81.5 hours before the bookings open.
If you were prepared, you would have lined up early at John Martin's retailers in Rundle Street in the inner city of Adelaide on the 20th of April 1964. You would have needed at least £2 in your hand to purchase a ticket for a seat in Adelaide's Centennial Hall for either the 12th or the 13th of June, because that was when the Beatles were going to play. That ticket was gold. It bought you something so much more than a night out. It got you a memory that you would only live out once. And at that time, you would not have known for sure. But those 2 nights for Adelaide would be the only time the Beatles would play in that big country town. Better keep that piece of paper in a safe place. So if you were lucky enough to have got a ticket for the Beatles concerts, and maybe you were lucky enough to see them at the Adelaide Town Hall, you would have only waited about 4 to 5 hours after the Beatles' last appearance on the Town Hall balcony, because at 6 p.m, the doors to Centennial Hall opened to let ticket holders in and find those precious seats. As all this was happening, Ringo had recovered from his tonsillitis and had been released from hospital. And, with Brian Epstein, he was able to rejoin his band in Melbourne after the Adelaide concerts. The venue, Centennial Hall, located at the Adelaide Showgrounds south of the CBD, was a multi-purpose building. It was used from everything from high school exams to exhibitions, you name it. Its capacity of 3,000 people, well, it wasn't very big compared to similar venues in Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane. However, it was the best venue in Adelaide to hold a band of the Beatles' calibre. So behind me here is the Adelaide Exhibition Centre at the Adelaide Showgrounds. In 1964, this was actually the location of the Centennial Hall where the Beatles played on the 12th and 13th of June. And as you can see, there's no trace of the Centennial Hall anymore, which is very sad. The Australian concerts were to be an extravaganza of international and local Australian talent. Tour organiser, Mr. Ken Brodziak, made sure that the concerts were topped to the brim with musical entertainment worthy of remembrance. The concerts were compared by fellow British singer Alan Field, a known identity in the Australian entertainment scene, the perfect personality for the task. But knowing that the concerts were actually going to be recorded, Bob Francis also gave a small speech just before the Beatles entered the stage. The concerts were in 2 halves. The first half consisting of 4 warm-up acts. Those were, and in order, Alan Field, Johnny Devlin from New Zealand, Australian Johnny Chester with his backup band The Phantoms, and a British instrumental band managed by Brian Epstein called Sounds Incorporated. These were good selections. The crowd absolutely loved them. Even though it was a Beatles concert, the warm-up acts really did help make the night memorable. The first half of the concert went for 45 minutes approximately. They were followed by an interval where the stage could be reset for the main act. The time has come. Adelaide and Australia. At about 7 p.m, compere Alan Field introduces for the first time in Australia the Beatles.
I can't say anything else, but ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
goes absolutely wild. The mania becomes more real than ever before. They had indeed arrived, and boy didn't Adelaide know it. And there they were, standing there, on stage, Paul McCartney on bass, John Lennon on rhythm guitar, George Harrison on lead guitar, and filling in for Ringo, Jimmy Nicol. The set only lasted 30 minutes with no encore. However, they played and they played solid, as you would expect from the Beatles. The songs, in order, were I Saw Her Standing There, I Want to Hold Your Hand, All My Loving, She Loves You, Till There Was You, Roll Over Beethoven, Can't Buy Me Love, This Boy, Twist and Shout, and Long Tall Sally to finish the set. What an experience. What an unforgettable experience. The show, however, seemed so short that it was over as quickly as it began. And after the show, the lights went on. 3,000 fans had to be very quickly ushered out. For at 8 o'clock, a whole new lot of fans to be seated for the next concert. Although not present in Adelaide for the 12th of June concerts, Beatles manager Brian Epstein had agreed to allow the concerts to be recorded for a radio broadcast on the 15th of June, and maybe even a live album. Brian Epstein, when he arrived in Australia, heard the recordings and approved of them to be used. The Beatles, however, weren't quite happy with the quality of the recordings, and due to that, they were shelved. After the concerts, the Beatles headed back to the South Australia Hotel for a private after-show party. They were actually invited to a party in the Adelaide Hills, but the Beatles decided to turn that down. It was noted that John Lennon was on his best behaviour due to the presence of his Aunt Mimi, who was known for her strict home regime when John was growing up in Liverpool. The following day, the 13th of June 1964, the Beatles were relatively quiet and did not venture far from the South Australia Hotel. And, in the evening, once again, Adelaide fans were wooed with another 2 concerts at Centennial Hall. On the morning of the 14th of June, the Beatles checked out of the South Australia Hotel and quietly headed to the Adelaide airport and flew off to their next engagement, being Melbourne, capital of Victoria. Adelaide, however, would not forget this experience, as the Beatles themselves would not forget. But was the story over for the Beatles in Adelaide?